Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick, and joining me equally as always, Devin. Before we get too far into this, we're going to do the road to Act 2 in Baldur's Gate 3 today. But before we get too far into that, let's start with our good old time-old tradition of the nonsense asinine hypotheticals. And do you have one for me today?
I do. As you pointed out to me, because even though it's very obvious in the game if you know, I didn't know. Baldur's Gate 3 pretty much follows on immediately from the events of Descent into Inverness, correct?
Yes.
And as you know, and as you informed me, it's a D&D module. So my question is, if you had a bit of control over what Larian does next, what D&D tabletop campaign, complete book, would you have them base their next game upon? Either immediately following the campaign, or parallel to? What are you thinking?
Ooh, boy.
I know, it's a bit more of a tricky question for you, because I know you know more than I do about modules.
Yeah, to be honest, I think Strahd would be a very good one for them to do, because they've done... Because Strahd has multiple little settlements in it, I believe, and they've shown that they can have, like, different settlements that are well set up and, like, full of life and people with, like, hopes and dreams and wants and needs. So I think that would actually be a very good one for them to do. It would help with the focus, because obviously you have your main villain, and it might feel a bit like only Act 1 and 2, for instance, but, you know, hopefully that would be alleviated by the Larian magic. It might get a bit unliked for the opening, being, you know, the Death House, which everyone knows about. Even people who've not played the game know about Death House.
The thing about Curse of Strahd is, just before we get too far into it, is I think the way the book is written out, I think would be hard to translate into directly into a video game. They'd have to take some liberties, and they'd certainly have to take some railroading measures, because I don't know if you've read into it, but one of the first things as a DM you're supposed to do, don't ask me why I've been reading into it, is you have to do a quote-unquote tarot reading with the group, and that tarot reading is going to dictate where you go in the campaign. There's no reason why you can't go to other places as well, but those are basically your MacGuffins.
Sure, okay. So, like, the entire map is open to the party, but the DM kind of knows that things that are going to be relevant are going to be in the tarot reading places.
It's more that, like, there's stuff everywhere, but the tarot reading places are the things that you point out to the players immediately, so they know if they go here, they'll find something related to this.
Sure. So a player that knows things can go, oh, I want to go to the Were-Raven place, but that would be a slap on the wrist. Yeah, so I think Strahd is probably one of the better ones to pick. Really, I'd kind of want a sequel that just follows on straight away and just goes into what the characters are doing now. Like, I know one of the endings goes into, like, up to 3 characters, and that would be a really fun one to just follow on into, but, like, some players won't even have those 3 characters alive by the end of the game. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Or able to do what they're doing. So, yeah, we'll, that's a tough one. And it would be a tough ask to ask Larian to, like, write a whole DLC/sequel based on what could be an incompatible world state for some people. Although that said, they did the same thing with Avernus. Like,
I was going to say,
almost nobody ended up with the world state that we got with the with what ended up being the thing for Avernus, because a lot of people would have, you know, dealt with Zariel in a different way, and Elturel normally doesn't return to the surface while Zariel is still an archdevil.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because they're a bit fog screen with it, because it's kind of implied that the tieflings we meet just managed to slip free rather than the whole city actually getting out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
But it's very, like, open to interpretation, unless of course there's an NPC that just straight up tells you things, and I didn't find that NPC, because let's be honest, that happens in Baldur's Gate 3.
It does, yeah. Man, the number of times I've not come across someone until, like, my second run through.
My second playthrough, Rick, I didn't find the Blood Merchant, which means Astarion got so little character development.
Oh, yes. And she's just standing there. All you have to do is walk there. But, like,
but I didn't
it's weird that you missed her on the second one.
But I didn't... No, I missed her on the first playthrough. I only found her on the second one, and obviously I go there all the time because I like Astarion's dialogue involving her. But, yeah.
And also, to +2 strength is good.
Because my first playthrough, I just didn't go to that part of the castle because I was like, I don't know, I wanted to spend as little time there as possible because I was doing I knew I was being infiltrating, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going with Curse of Strahd for one that exists and that I would like a sequel to the actual events if it was possible, but I know that that's going to be tough. How about you? What would you say for the same question?
I've read the endings to Curse of Strahd. It's definitely possible. But anyway, my pick would be again, my pool of knowledge to steal from is very limited, so of course I'm going to say Storm King's Thunder.
Yeah. I think the benefit of that is because you've got your diverging paths after level 5. That's just extra content for a game.
I shit you not, Rick. After the bulk of our sessions was me bullshitting and patching things together because do you know what the book tells you?
Yeah, here's the world, go nuts.
Yeah, here's a list of places. Your party can go there. Here's a suggested encounter. Most of them are shit.
Yeah.
Because of course they're shit. They're 2 sentences.
And most of the giant encounters out in the world are meant to try and railroad you onto one of the 6 lords.
Well, sort of. It's very odd because the actual railroading doesn't happen until you reach Harshnag, and the book tells you introduce Harshnag when you feel like your players are getting bored. I shit you not, Rick. It doesn't say it word for word that, but that's kind of what it means.
Yeah, when players are losing focus, introduce hashtag the Grim.
Yeah, but I'd not have it be a sequel. I'd have it like run parallel. I'd have the Larian crew, for lack of a better word, because I assume they'd make their own. I assume they'd make new characters for other games. They wouldn't just stick with the Baldur's Gate 3 crew. Some characters that would actually be impossible to do, considering how their endings allegedly turn out. But I've not gotten there yet, so I don't know. But having them just run parallel in a world where giants are going apeshit, it can lead to some fun little stories. And at this point, Larian's writing staff has been proved in fire, shall we say?
Yeah. I could see that being pretty good because you have even like starting near the end. Or even after the end, like the giants have basically settled down, and there's now generally one less ancient dragon in the world.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have it at the end. I'd have it in the middle.
Sure. You might even basically be sponsored by one of the other ancient dragons, like we kind of are in our game.
You just pestered her for help, and she decided, okay, fuck it, it'll be good for some lols.
Yep.
She is in no way sponsoring you. She don't do that shit.
And you managed to circumvent being sponsored by Clouth as well, which again is it would be funny if someone went and fucked up this other dragon and he sends some resources, and if you ask for anything else, he kills you.
Well, the funny thing is with Storm King is if you do go that route as the DM, like he does offer you shit if you do his bidding, but then when you go and claim your shit, he just goes no.
Yeah.
It's I don't know why they. I don't know. There's a lot of like I've loved running that game with our crew, but some of the stuff in the book just had to get changed.
Yeah. I think you've done a pretty good job of changing it.
Well, thank you, Rick. Do you have a question for me?
Yeah, my one for you is D&D 1. Well, sorry, 1 D&D is round the corner. It's what people are sometimes calling D&D 5.5. You've played a couple of other systems, maybe a little bit less than me, but you've played them. What things from other systems would you like to see ported back into D&D? And this could be from another actual system, or even from Baldur's Gate.
Considering the amount of this is something I discovered in our most recent D&D session, in the amount of abuse that comes from healing spells to get people up, just add the fucking help action to get someone up from being down.
Yeah, that works. I think the canon way in D&D is like you can use a medicine check to stabilize, but like that doesn't really help. It just keeps them at basically dying 0.
It's just such a natural change. It's such a natural change that the first time someone went down in our campaign, I said, "Oh, you can use the help action," to which I immediately got corrected. That's a Baldur's Gate 3 thing, and I was like, "Whoops."
I maybe shouldn't have corrected you on that. But yeah, it's a very simple thing to do, but some people actually don't like the healing whack-a-mole that 5e does. So they've tried to put in more consequences for going down, and that's something that led to the Pathfinder one of, you get a dying value, and when you get up, you got a wounded value, and when you go down again, your wounded value is added to your dying value.
Right, sure. I kind of get it, because, let's be honest, in the campaign I've been running, people haven't gone down until this final boss fight, and it's just constant, clicking fingers and getting people up. One of the problems is I feel like I'm a bit kind as a DM to a certain degree, because people go down and then I'm like, I could use an attack and just kill them and take them out the game, but then someone's just going to be sitting here and being bored for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Like, that's the kind of thing, it's kind of okay in the finale, but it's a real feel bad on a normal week, because, to be honest, on a normal week, when that happens, you spend the rest of the session rolling up your next character.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, in the finale, let's say, for instance, the character that got downed about 7 times, I just had the final boss do a cheeky and kill them outright. It would
use the legendary action to stomp.
It would have been fucking miserable for the player involved.
Yeah, a little bit.
But anyway, I digress. What would you add? I assume you've got a bit more of a pool to pick from.
Well, these basically multiple games that I have played have all had something that D&D hasn't, and it's degrees of success.
Sure.
On like skill checks, like Warhammer Fantasy had it.
Warhammer Fantasy took it far too much to the extreme, though.
Oh yeah, I mean Warhammer Fantasy, it was like if you're beyond +10, -10, then it's like a great success or a great fail. But also you had to roll like under a 30 for most things.
But also because of their fucking limb system and them wanting it to be super edgy and easy to die, it was very easy to have player characters get permanently crippled or outright killed from one bad dice roll.
Yeah. You roll a 15. Well, that means you hit them in the 51. That's the head.
It was very not good.
Boy. Yeah. Well, a 15 was like the best roll, really, wasn't it? I think, because like if you hit someone in the head, like fantastic. Like that's the head crits are almost all kill.
I mean,
it was great on that.
I couldn't tell you what the specific numbers did because it was years ago at this point.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway. Dragon Age was more based around rolling an 11 because it was on 3d6.
Sure.
And obviously the average is like 11.5. And so I think the maths was based around, yes, everyone's going to have this kind of stat in their main thing, and therefore the difficulty class should be based around that. Unfortunately, it fell apart at higher levels because they just didn't write the rules until like a couple of years down the line for past level 5. So we were doing things wrong.
Sure.
Obviously Pathfinder has crit success and crit fails and like tells you what to do on those. Like, so I would say have rules and rulings built into the system for crit successes and crit fails for a lot of things.
I like crit success and crit fail effects for spells, but everything else I can take or leave if I'm honest.
Sure. Like, a lot of things in the Pathfinder one they're set out the same way as spells are. So like a skill feat is like, crit fail, you can't try this again.
Sure.
On that character. Like crit success, it lasts like a minute instead of like a round, and things like that. So I guess that's part of how the actions are structured. So I think it could work. But yes, today we are talking about Baldur's Gate 3, The Road to Act 2. Now, where would you like to start? Would you like to start with the Kresh Rote, or would you like to start with the Underdark?
I usually do the Kresh second. However, the Kresh is so much more condensed, I feel like we should just do it and get it out of the way.
Yeah, so the Kresh Route has one thing blocking your path, and it's a bunch of zombies and a couple of Deathlord guys who just keep resurrecting the zombies. Your goal is to get strong enough to bypass these guys.
Yeah, but also if you just want to do the Kresh, you don't even need to touch them.
Yeah, the Kresh has I'd say easy. There's 2 ways to do the bypass of the Kresh. You either do a puzzle with a bunch of shit that you find, or you lockpick the place where the amulet is kept.
I've only ever lockpicked it.
Yeah, ditto. It helps that the merchant in the area sells you the Cat's Grace cloth, so you just give that to your rogue. Your rogue has got permanent advantage on dex things, which is basically lockpicking.
Oh yeah, but fuck that, because what you do is you actually go to the Zetrium in Act 1 and you buy the Glove of Thieves, which gives you the exact same effect.
Does it? Okay.
And only takes up a glove slot.
Sure. Yeah, I've just been like happily accepting that I'm going to have 3 less AC just because this +2 dex and automatic advantage is just great.
Yeah, fair enough.
I might have to try that next time.
Yeah, it doesn't give you any plus to dexterity. Well, it might give you +1. I generally can't remember. It definitely gives you the advantage on lockpicking and, well, basically, it's not even lockpicking. It's advantage on sleight of hand checks.
Yeah. So lockpicking and pickpocketing.
Yeah, and disarming, but that's just lockpicking, let's be honest.
But yes, lockpicking with extra steps. Man, the number of times you disarm in the game is like damn near 0, whereas lockpicking is like constant. Turns out that nearly every chest that you can be lockpicked, you could just destroy, and you'd lose no items. It's not like Dark Souls 2.
Oh, so well, that's dumb.
If you ever can't be arsed. Yeah, there's only a few that you can't, like the vaults later on, because they're indestructible. And I think a few chests might be sturdy, but generally, yeah, if it's a wooden chest, you can just break it. It makes more noise.
Could we talk about sturdy for a minute?
Yeah, I think it's damage threshold.
Yeah, it's very fucking annoying.
Yeah. What's really annoying to me is when something is like a very obviously breakable something, but because of the sturdy, and let's say I have a piercing weapon that does plus d6 or whatever, and I've got a passive that does some extra, like something that would normally do 20 damage does nothing because they're all count as separate zeros.
See, to be fair though, if that piercing weapon's a rapier, I can see why it's not breaking a wall.
Sure. Well, for me, it's a trident. It's the one that makes a sonic explosion when you chuck it.
Well, it's kind of a moot point then, isn't it? Because even if it is a trident, you could, in theory, just use the weapon but backwards, and therefore using a blunt piece.
Yeah. Like
I know that's not how D&D works, but you know. It's one of those really frustrating things because Baldur's Gate 3 has done a marvellous job of translating D&D into a video game. However, because D&D at the tabletop is essentially run by a person who can just make snap decisions and change things on the fly to make actual sense, it's never going to be a perfect replica.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've done like certain buffs to replace things that they've just not accounted for. Like Thief Rogue is meant to have a climbing speed, but they just haven't programmed anything in for climbing speeds in this. Similarly, Spider Climb is meant to give you a climbing speed, so the Spider Climb boots are just, you just ignore difficult terrain, because difficult terrain is like a much bigger thing in this than it is in most tabletops.
Yeah.
And it's a dynamic thing, like you can just make difficult terrain. There's part of spells. This was something they even had to tone down from early access because people thought it was too much for 5e, but it was like the way that original Sin 2 was played, like every spell made a surface pretty much.
That being said though, you bringing it up, there are a lot of random mud puddles for no fucking reason.
Yeah. It becomes not an issue, like, if you do certain things at literally the end of Act 2. But, yeah, it's a pain in the arse. That said, the amount of times when there's water just makes lightning better than fire a lot of the time.
Sure.
Which is kind of interesting to see. Like, because fire getting halved by being wet and lightning getting doubled by being wet. Like, they're meant to be balanced outside of that, and it's kind of cool to see the opposite happening for once.
You mentioning fire just made me remember I got an item last night in Act 3, very early on in Act 3. I can't remember the exact name, but it's basically like Dyslexic's wizarding staff, and the special ability it gives you is Firebolt, ? And the description says, this staff can only cast 2 spells, Fireball and Firebolt, but you're not going to know which one it is until you use it. And I'm like, that is fucking great. I love that. I'm never going to use it, but that's fun.
That is kind of cute, though. The one time you need to have precision and not murder everyone in the room. It murders everyone in the room. Oh boy. Yeah, I think at that point you probably just use your own Ray of Frost. But yeah, like in the Kresh, you get funneled. You get funneled towards the front door, which then gets locked in front of you. The first time I did this, I accidentally glitched through the wall by selecting a piece of land beyond it, and the character just walked through the wall. I think that's been fixed now. I have since done it the correct way of like going past the kobolds that are drunk, and they're drunk on fire wine, so if you hit them with fire, they explode.
I know, it's fun.
The Gremolishkas. And until this point, I think these are the only kobolds you find in the game until like Act 3.
Yeah, in Act 3, you meet one that talks to you. I don't know if you meet any more other than that.
But the one that talks to you is like everyone's favourite character.
Is he? Is it the one in the circus?
Yeah.
I don't really like him.
Do you not?
Nah. I don't dislike him, but like I have no love for him, I'll put it that way.
Sure.
I much prefer the rogue mud mephrit and his stone element wife. But yeah, anyway.
Have you commissioned a statue from him?
No, I haven't. I bought some basilisk oil off him because I felt bad, but yeah. We'll talk about that when we get to Act 3. It's a while away yet, but yeah. Yeah,
it will be, yeah. So yeah, the final reward from the Kresh is the Blood of Lathander, which is a +3 mace.
Took me 4 playthroughs to find.
Yeah, it's far and away more powerful than anything you're meant to have at that point in the game normally. However, it's kind of balanced in that it only is a +3. It doesn't have any other effects other than it has light, so it's good for the next zone. And once per long rest, you can cast Sunbeam,
which is a level 6 spell.
It's a level 6 spell. It should be amazing. However, your DC is probably crap if you're a martial character.
That being
said, basically, give it to Shadowheart.
What I did on one character was I had a sorcerer, and I made him take the feat that gives him weapon proficiency with maces. So is it a waste of feat? Maybe, but at the same time, it made that character a lot stronger than he should have been.
Sure. Man, like, I do like some little silly combos that you can do. Like, I've been recently using a evocation Tempest Cleric.
Sure.
Because with Wizard, this is something you can't really do in the main game because it says that you can, and then the errata was, when something refers to your level in a class, it refers to that class level, not your character level, apart from cantrips.
Sure.
So when a wizard can prepare spells that they will be able to prepare with the spell slots that they have, it's meant to be wizard spell slots and not multi-class spell slots, but in Baldur's Gate 3, it's multi-class spell slots. If you learn Lightning Bolt, even when you're like a level 1 wizard, like, if you've got the slots for it, you can cast it, and with Tempest Cleric, you can just maximize the damage. Yeah, it gets nutty.
Yeah, I made...
Real nutty real quick.
I usually make Shadowheart a War Cleric, but for one playthrough I made Tempest, and I was surprised by how much more fun it was than just generic War.
Yeah. Like, I think the only thing Tempest Cleric doesn't get is extra attack. Like,
yeah, but fuck it.
I mean, it doesn't get its own lightning bolt. Like, it doesn't get its own lightning bolt. It doesn't get its own chain lightning. Like, you'd expect it to maybe do so, but other than that, yeah, it's generally a very fun class.
You'd be surprised how much fun Thunderwave becomes. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yes, AOE push. It's like burning hands, but yeeting. But yes, I think we've kind of skipped over the fact that the Githyanki are in the Githyanki Kresh. You get to see a little bit into the Githyanki culture that Lae'zel is a bit disgusted by because they're softer than Kresh Kalia.
It's weird, isn't it? Because they're softer, but they're also, the ways they are harsh are shit because you can go.
Yeah, because it's harsh to you.
Well, not even that. It's because they're when you go to the training ground bit, you got the teacher having a go at the student, and if you fuck up your saves like I did, the teacher will just straight up kill that Githyanki teenager. And when you ask Lae'zel about it, Lae'zel's like, "Yeah, that's fucking stupid. Don't know why that happened."
Yeah, because her way of justice and learning would be for another student to kill another student, because that's the way that you weed out the stupid students, not for a teacher to do that.
Yeah, because that's not fair, you know?
Yeah, because the teacher is going to win. And if they don't, they were a shit teacher. But yeah, if you save that one guy, you get your first Orpheus lore.
Yeah, but if you tell Lae'zel about it too early, she just goes, "Shut up."
Yeah. As you get drip-fed Orpheus lore, she keeps flipping her shit until she kind of gets bored of flipping her shit and starts translating for you normally. There's also a bit of graffiti on the Vlaakith portrait already. That's like a little comet. And you can also super graffiti the Vlaakith portrait.
I was aware of this, but I've never done it because I don't want Lae'zel to get pissed at me.
She only disapproves a bit.
Fair enough, I guess.
Unfortunately, she disapproves about as much as killing another player character.
Wait, what?
Which is like a -5. So there are some things that give like more approval and more disapproval, and the fact that you get like more disapproval for certain things than actually murdering someone is kind of telling. But that's by the by.
But half the party's okay with murder anyway.
Yes. Another thing that's good there's a good item to pick up here. There's the Knife of the Undermountain King that gives you a +1 crit range, which is just great if you're an archer. You just hold that in your weapon slot, and it's just good.
I will just say this: I do find it weird that you get passives from your melee weapons if you're using your ranged weapons.
Yeah, and kind of the other way around as well. But the passives from the ranged weapons tend to be just you have a spell.
Yeah, pretty much. You're not wrong.
And the gloves of dexterity, which just set your dex to 18.
Again, like I know you like these stat boosting items, but I find them to be rather not that useful.
Yeah, it depends on the character. Like, on some characters it's just boring. Like, okay, I want to make a character who is difficult to kill and has main character syndrome. There we are. That character has all the stats. There you go. Whereas if you want someone who's actually effective, you probably want something like, say you're unarmed, something that gives you another D4 on unarmed. Like, the other lady sells that. That's the first one you get. That's fire.
Because at the end of the day,
you get other ones later on.
At the end of the day, your character's stats are going to be high anyway for the stats that matter.
Oh, yeah. Like, when you build something, you can build it with 3 15s, and a +2 and a +1.
But why?
And well, because normally there are 3 stats that matter. Normally your main stat, con, and sometimes dex. And otherwise, like if you're a pally, it's like strength, con, charisma. If you're a monk, it's dex, con, wisdom.
Even then, you can get away with 2.
Well, yeah, but like the more con you have, the less dead you are.
Not really, but whatever. We can discuss this all day, and it won't get us anywhere.
Yeah, the other characters in the Kresh, you've got an Inquisitor, or Wargaz, and you've got a Kithrak who's a bit shit. She just sits at a desk. If you show her the artifact, then it still gets just returned to you because, plot.
Is there a way to do this encounter peacefully? Because every time I've had to kill her.
I have... Yeah, I think you have to kill her anyway, because basically when you deny Vlaakith, even if you accept Vlaakith, like they all turn on you anyway. The only way to not fight her is to blow up the whole place.
No, I meant specifically not fight her in this first encounter. I know you have to fight her on your way out, regardless.
Oh, you can pickpocket her.
Well, okay, I meant with dialogue choices, but so the answer's no. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but like, I've done it 3 times, and 2 out of 3 times I just pickpocketed the thing off of her. And that's just been fine.
But surely they see you use it, and they don't have anything to fucking say about it. That's dumb.
No, they don't. Like... and when she realizes it's gone, she interrogates the people that are nearby, and if the person who's the pickpocket is just in a different room, she just accepts that the people who she's talking to didn't steal it, and then she just moves on with her life. And that's the same with every pickpocketing attempt. Like, if you've ever not done pickpocketing, maybe try it. Pretty fun.
Oh, it's the same reason why I don't pickpocket in Skyrim. It's dumb.
Yeah. Oh, in Skyrim it's even stupider, because you can just pickpocket the clothes off people's backs when you get to the top level of perk.
Yeah, it's dumb. That's what I'm saying. Anyway.
Like, I can understand the one where you can, like, pickpocket a sheathed weapon, but when you can just, like, steal someone's armor, yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's all ridiculous, but okay.
We get to meet our first god, or godlike being.
Well, let's not go here first. We should probably clear out the other side first, where we've got the birthing chamber and the Zlakith.
Oh, yeah. So the birthing chamber, you are sent there by the other merchant lady. She wants to get a Githyanki egg and raise it in the Society of Brilliance way, which is the way that the other guy from the Underdark is also part of.
But if you're like me, you told her to fuck off and die, and she didn't like that, so you had to put her down. Yeah,
and if you do that, then you get some free items that were previously sold in her shop.
Better, not even just free items, free good items.
Yeah. Like, if you kill merchants, they've toned it down in patches, but like in early game, you used to be able to get their entire inventory as loot. Later on, in later patches, they toned it down to only the highest rarity things.
It feels...
you can't just get their entire gold stock.
It feels like with some characters it's a coin flip, and I don't know if that's just bad coding or not bad coding, but you know how bugs be. But like the most obvious one where it was a real 50-50 on what the fuck happened was Auntie Ethel, because sometimes you'd kill her in the boss room, you'd kill her, and sometimes she'd have like 2,000 gold and a bunch of goodies, and then other times she'd have fuck all.
Yeah. Well, then again, I've never killed Auntie Ethel in that room, so...
Oh, I kill her every time. She's evil. She has to go.
But you don't get to eat your hair.
That's fine.
Man, I prefer the +1 because,
That's fine, you're allowed to be evil.
Yep. You become an Oathbreaker if you do that.
I'm fucking shocked.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what paladin you are, they all have fucking oaths against evil.
Yep. Letting evil live. Yeah, she gets away, you become an Oathbreaker. It's a good way to, start that path. The unfortunate thing is, if you want to respec from Oathbreaker, you need to atone before you respec.
Okay.
But yeah, the Githyanki egg, there's an unnaturally soft-hearted Githyanki is the overseer of the eggs, and his reasoning is that he was the last to hatch, and therefore this one being the last to hatch shouldn't doom him to being like smashed.
Yeah. Man, I'm really disappointed as to the result of this quest if you decide to keep the egg.
Oh, it's garbage.
Yeah,
it's awful. But,
it's awful, because the end of this quest, if you don't sell it to that woman, is nothing. You have a Githyanki egg in your inventory. That's it.
Yeah, if you don't sell it, you've got the egg. If you do sell it, there is another solution.
Yeah, but that's also...
resolution. That's
also 1, barbaric, and 2, the resolution is disgusting.
Yeah, the resolution is not fun. And the Zaithisk... Have you ever done this on your main character?
No, I always make Lae'zel go in. She wants it.
Okay, so Lae'zel going in only gives her debuffs. You going in has a chance to give you permanent buffs.
Oh.
The permanent buff is that it turns your tadpole powers into bonus actions.
Oh, that's very cool. However, I've never done a run where I abused a tadpole because now I know what happens when you do that anyway. I did.
There's basically no downside. Like if your face gets a bit fucked up, but yeah, like other than that, there's no downside, and it's just all benefits.
Well, it's not though, is it? Because here's the thing, Rick. I appreciate you're playing the game as a game. However, whenever I make a character that's meant to represent me, it fucking represents me.
Yeah, I know you've got a thing about like changing parts of yourself.
I've never given myself Volo's eye, despite the fact all it is a plus, because I'm not trading an eye for that.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, when we play multiplayer, I'm going to be the one that takes that deal.
Well, you even said that only one of us can have the tadpole in multiplayer, and I immediately went, you can fucking have it, because I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, it was one of those where like multiple people can have it, but you get more benefits if you focus tadpoles on like one character, because like one of them, like Cull of the Week, is based on how many tadpoles you have.
Say again?
The Cull of the Week passive, when you reduce something to a certain amount of health, it just explodes.
All right, but
and
you said
that certain amount of health is the number of tadpoles that you have.
You said Cold the Week so fast that it came out as one word, so I thought you said Cold the Luke, and I'm like, what the fuck is Cold the Luke? Who is this character? I've never heard of them.
And then turns out, yeah, you can just give the super tad to different people. It just is an item in your inventory, which I didn't see until like my second playthrough.
You can squish that in front of that prick.
You can. You can also eat it. Eating it is the same as communing with it. And he goes, what are you? Oh, well, you've done it already.
I mean, to be fair, if you've been using tadpoles throughout the game, that's kind of how you've been, dealing with them anyway.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about for a moment how fucking disgusting that menu is?
Oh yeah, the new tadpole just burrows into your brain.
It's horrible.
Yeah, yes.
I make Astarion do it because he begs for it.
Oh yeah, Minthara's already started with a few of them already unlocked as well, so she's also a good candidate for keeping on going with that. But this is the episode where we shouldn't really be talking about Minthara, because she just doesn't take part in this part of the game at all, because like you've either dealt with her completely or you've bumped her down the road until Act 2.
Yeah, I'm still holding out hope there's a way to still recruit her while doing it's not even a good run, because you can have a good run once you recruit Minthara, but you have to sacrifice the tieflings, and that is a lot of content to drop.
Yeah, I will find out if she tells you, well, she gives you the piece of dialogue later where she just says, what about you? You killed all the tieflings. Why did you do that? And
yeah, the answer is for the Trissy.
Yep. On my glitch playthrough, I haven't. I sheeped her and took her through, and it was great.
Well, yeah, but that's so much effort to do. But anyway, whatever.
She shares a tent with Halsin.
Yeah.
They hate each other.
But yeah, with the Zayfisk, like Lae'zel finds out she's basically been. Well, she doesn't even. She gets hints of, and pretty much all of the party that's with her goes, "Oh, your entire fucking culture was just going to kill you, and they lied to you to get you in a position to easily kill you." And doesn't matter how much you say that, Lae'zel will just disapprove and go, "No, there is clearly a traitor among us."
Yeah, and her first instinct in there is that the doctor is a traitor. And even when Voss comes to your camp, which by the way is one of the funniest scenes ever. You just wake up and he's upside down.
It's so weird.
Looking at you. And also, can we talk about how Voss looks a bit like Donkey Kong?
You're gonna have to. Discord's fucking you.
Yeah, can we just talk about how Voss looks a bit like Donkey Kong? It just takes me out of the moment every time.
Does he? I guess he's kind of got a similar hairstyle, but
Yeah, it's that hairstyle. But yeah, Voss ends up being one of the biggest bros in the entire game, especially if you're on the anti-Vlaakith route, which, let's be honest, after Vlaakith does what Vlaakith does, most people will be.
I've got one playthrough, which I can't wait to get to Act 3 on, where I just skipped the Creche, because you can do that. You can just go through the Underdark and to Moonrise. Once you get far enough in Moonrise, you can talk to Lae'zel and say, "So, it looks like this is actually our best bet," and she just goes, "I suppose it is," but while scowling at you.
Yeah. If you go to the route where the Creche is, Lae'zel then goes on a timer, as if you don't go there, she will go there on her own, apparently. But if you just don't go to that route at all, then she just accepts it.
Sure. I mean, that kind of, yeah, and that obviously implies that she probably gets whacked off screen. Yeah, because once you go to the mountain pass, she does straight up say, "I see XYZ, that means there's a Creche here, we should go there immediately." And you say, yeah, we're on it. And she's like, "Fine, but blah, 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 blah." I like Lae'zel, but a lot of her lines get turned into first word, then blah 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 blah.
Blah blah Vlakith, and then lots of words with apostrophes. Yeah. And so we've got the Zathis, we've got the Crash Master with the egg, the merchant sells a couple of cool things, and then Vlakith. If you piss her off, she wishes you to end.
Yeah, I saw the clip of this on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, because even though she doesn't actually have the status of God, she kind of has the power of one.
I mean, bear in mind, Rick, just for those of you listening who have never played D&D, Rick probably already knows this. I certainly know it. The reason why the game has a level cap of 12 is because once you reach level 13, the game will break because you'll have access to level 7 spells.
Yep.
And most level of those 7... are bollocks.
Yeah. I think level 8 is the worst because you got Simulacrum, so you could basically have another you.
It's
And then level 9 you got Wish.
And you've also got
a mini version of Wish anyway.
You've also got the fact that, sorry to sort of divulge from your point you were going to make, the thing with level 7 spells as well is because a lot of them just straight up affect the universe. I don't know how the fuck you translate them into a video game.
Yeah, stuff like plane shift and just like teleportations. Yeah, they get a bit dumb. Like just being able to teleport to somewhere that you've been in the past when canonically these characters have been places in the past. Like Gale, for instance, is from Waterdeep. He should be able to just teleport to Waterdeep.
Case in point, we've mentioned this before, but it's pretty much implied that before getting tadpoled, everyone in your party was a level 20 character.
Yeah, or at least like level 12 plus.
Yeah.
Well, except Lae'zel. Because you know what happens to characters that are level 13 plus in Githyanki culture, they just get fed to Vlakith.
Sure, unless she was level 13 plus and people just didn't realise it because the Githyanki are so snobby.
Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, did you know that, have you heard of the term Gish before playing Baldur's Gate?
No.
Okay, so it's a term within the nerd community of someone who is both a fighter and a mage, and is almost equally as good at both, and it's a Githyanki word, and it's for that rank of person that is basically just a mage fighter, which Eldritch Knight kind of is, but very definitely more fighter than mage.
Yeah, I find it weird that Lae'zel defaults into champion rather than Eldritch Knight.
Man, defaulting into champion even more than Battlemaster. Oh boy.
Oh, sorry, no, I got the names wrong. No, you're right. She defaults to Battlemaster, not champion. My bad.
Yeah, champion's the crit range one, Battlemaster's the maneuvers one.
Champion shit. I don't know why you'd pick that.
Yeah. It's there just to be the default for people that don't want to think.
That's fair, but like, even if you give like a little bit of thought, I had one character who I made a fighter, sword and shield, and my big deal was I was just going to make them fucking big bollock AC, and I immediately went to Eldritch Knight, and all my spell slots are just used on shield.
Yes. Like, they kind of have certain spells from later on in the game, later on in 5th Ed's development cycle as items. Kind of makes me think that they should have had them just as spells. Like, Absorb Elements is just a Eldritch Knight staple these days, and it has been since, like, the literal first pamphlet they ever put out, which was, like, Elemental Evil, which was a free update. But, you know, they have to relegate it to being 2 capes in this.
Yeah. Very quickly, Rick, I might be mistaken, but you get a significantly reduced amount of spell slots in Baldur's Gate than on the tabletop, don't you? Or am I making that up?
No, you get the same.
Do you? It feels like so much less.
Yeah, it's like, for Eldritch Knight, it feels less because the progression is really slow. You basically don't get because you don't get your level 2 slots till level 7.
Right.
That means you don't have 4 level 1s until level 7. Like, the difference between level 6 and 7 Eldritch Knight is double the number of spell slots.
Sure.
Similar to, like, Wizard hitting level 3 and Pally hitting level 5. Yeah, like, that's the biggest power bump that you get, I believe.
Okay, sure.
Just going to that. Eldritch Knight gets, is it level 11 they get level 3 spells?
Dude, I don't fucking know. I've not made it that far on that character.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd have to take your word on it.
Yeah, so your half-casters like your Pally and your Ranger, they never get level 4s, which, you know, is kind of fine. But it does mean you don't get Find Greater Steed, but you don't get Find Steed in this game anyway, because apparently having a horse would be OP. It just would break the game going too fast.
I think animating someone riding a horse would actually break the engine.
Maybe.
Have you seen anyone mounted in this game at all, apart from the Dragon Riders?
No.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a reasonable point.
Like, not to shit. I don't like shitting on any game developer, but when you noticeably can't find a certain thing, chances are either 1, they couldn't find an animator to animate it decently, or 2, putting it in the game broke too much shit.
Yeah. I can see the game actually having problems loading things in that you've not loaded yet if you're going too fast.
Sure, that being said, it is really fucking cool. Like, it's definitely a bug and some people don't like it, but I do like when you load a cutscene and things are just zoning in as the cutscene plays. It looks goofy but cool.
Yeah. I've also never played in multiplayer, so I never had people goofing off in the background of a cutscene. That also looks kind of funny.
I can't remember what it is, but it's a very tense moment between Shadowheart and the player character while Shadowheart's confessing some bullshit she did, and the camera pans and there's just a fucking red Dragonborn playing on a fucking loop.
My favourites, one of them was in camp where I unequipped Will of things, and it turns out he had a Todger out, and it just panned to Will in the background with his knob. And the other one was one that I saw on Reddit of it was a multiplayer game where there were 2 additional player characters and they were both sneaking around in their underwear just looking really dastardly. Which is kind of funny.
Fair enough.
And top hats.
I don't know, that'd have to be fairly late game. I don't know where you even find top hats.
Well, just like tall hats in general. Like I kind of wish they had some kind of transmogrification feature, because some of the regular helmets look really cool, but like the basic version of it is like it only gives you like +1 on con saves or +1 on dex saves.
Yeah, that's what I would love that as well. Any game that has armor that you can see on your character when you equip it should have the object to glamour it. The option rather, not the object.
Yeah, because there's dyes and you can dye things, but have you ever? I haven't.
Yeah, I have. I bought like 10 of my favourite dye in the first fucking village, and all I do is dye shit.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's mods for transmogging, but you know,
doesn't help me, does it?
If it has to be a mod, it should be in the game. I've tried modding, but it's very difficult without a mouse.
Yeah,
so
I
I've
respect
just given
that.
Up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like the fact that it has to be done with a touchscreen on the Steam Deck. Yeah, it's difficult to do that in Windows with a touchscreen, with only a touchscreen even. The mouse that I do have is not USB-C.
This is going to be completely off topic, but can you not connect the Steam Deck to a PC and just do it via the PC, or is that a ridiculous thing to even say?
It's difficult because the Steam Deck itself is kind of a PC on its own.
Sure, fair enough. I just thought I'd ask, because I haven't got the kit. I don't know how it works.
In fact, it is a PC. It just runs Windows. Well, or mine does at least.
Sure.
And it's an easy thing to set up for people who have one. Like they even basically have it in the like user guide of this is how you set up Windows if you want Windows. Yeah. Specifically Windows 11. So this is my only thing in the house that has Windows 11, and I had to make it look like Windows 10.
This UI for this is well off topic, and I apologise for the audience. Is the UI for Windows 11 drastically different? Because my PC keeps telling me to upgrade, and I keep telling it to fuck off.
The big deal is you have the hotbar locked to the bottom.
That's where I keep
which for most people is not a big deal. For most people, it's not a big deal. I keep it on the right because I have widescreen things, and it takes up less space if it's on left or right. So for me, I put it on the right because it keeps the time in the bottom corner.
Yeah, no, I can see why you would do that. But obviously, I'm on a laptop. So I've seen loads of people have their hotbar on the right instead of on the bottom. It feels weird for half a minute, but you soon adjust.
Yeah. The like on a laptop, like those are all often widescreen as well. Like the one that I'm using right now is widescreen.
Sure.
So yeah, it just feels like the natural place to have it because you lose less space. But so yeah, I've had to install a mod for Windows 11 to be able to do that again. So it can be done. And also, I believe you need a Microsoft account to basically do anything in it.
I mean, I have one of those. I just don't use it because I don't need to.
Yeah. So my Steam Deck is currently still... The user is still the previous owner, whose name is Bob. So whenever I launch it, it's just log in as Bob.
Fair enough. Baldur's Gate 3. We went on a tangent from Vlaakith casting Wish. You also get Lae'zel telling you to bow, but instead you can wave, and they decided to give your player character the goofiest animation for it.
Yeah. It's even sillier if you're playing as a Githyanki.
I didn't even consider that.
Yeah, like you've got the chance to not bow to Vlaakith when you're playing as a Githyanki. Yeah. She gives you a task: go into the prison and kill whoever's there.
Yeah. So there's a 50/50 50-50 chance on, or rather, depending on your choices, as to whether or not you kill the Inquisitor before you go in or after. And if you kill him before, Vlaakith doesn't really give a shit, giving you probably your first hint that Lae'zel is definitely wrong about her.
Yeah, she basically goes, yeah, impressive. Anyway, do this.
Oh, which, by the way, Vlaakith is number 157.
Oh, yes. She is the 157th Vlaakith. There's been a lot of Vlaakiths before, and she's the first one who decided that she wanted to live forever and became a lich. Like, the other ones just died normally. So this Vlaakith in particular has usurped the natural order of more Vlaakiths. She's also the one that decides when Githyanki lay eggs and how many.
Yeah, that's weird because, like, not so much the timing I get, but why would you dictate how many? You think you just go, spawn, I need an army, spawn.
Yep, I need as many as possible, go. I mean, I guess the reason for not as many as possible is, like, okay, that one particular crest doesn't have the resources right now.
Okay,
so...
but you get what I mean. You just say spawn and they'd spawn within their means.
Yeah, but that undermines authoritarianism if you let people decide things based within their means.
That's a valid point that I didn't really consider.
Yeah, Vlaakith is very much authoritarianism personified. And
no.
Yes, as soon as you get to a certain level...
Sorry, go on.
As soon as you get to a certain level, you get the chance to ascend, which is basically going directly into her mouth and becoming part of her lich phylactery.
Would you fuck Vlaakith? I know my answer, but I'm curious as to what yours is.
Probably not.
Okay, I'm on a firm no. Not so much because of appearances, I could deal with that, but she is quite so obviously evil that no amount of boners could get me over that hurdle. There's a fucking episode title.
Indeed. So yeah, you get the chance to go into the prism. You get to see how cool it is inside there, which you've seen in your dreams already to a degree.
I'll tell you this, Rick. I never once, until this moment, I didn't think for a second we'd actually go to the astral plane.
Like, I thought we might, but I didn't think it would be this early, and I also didn't know that the dream visitor was in a place. I thought when I first played it, I assumed it was your tadpole trying to wear down your defenses and make you think that being tadded was a good thing.
Oh.
And like make you essentially accept stereomorphosis.
I get what you're saying. I didn't think the dream visitor was on the astral plane. It's just Lae'zel mentioned it, and I thought we're never going to go there, so who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah, you get to meet your dream visitor.
I've got a question for you, Rick, because I don't know if you've done it or if you've just done the research, but I've never attempted to kill the dream visitor here because I'm not stupid. What happens if you do?
Yeah, I've never tried it. I know that there is a...
I know there's a bad end if you do a certain thing, so I don't know if this also leads to that.
Yeah, at the end of Act 2, you can kill them, and you just get a bad end there if you do that. Same for if you just lose that battle, that just results in the same thing. But doing it here, I don't know. I've never tried it. It feels like even the most evil of villains would probably not even try it because they would be like self-preserving enough to not want to die themselves.
Like, for real, the way they set up the scene with them bowing their head and offering the sword up makes me feel that even if you do it, it's a trick so that they don't actually die. But I don't know, because it just seems like a really stupid decision at that point in time, unless you're Lae'zel. But
yeah, I can see it being like, oh, that one's an astral projection, and he just turns up behind you after you stab him, going, I didn't think you were that stupid. Potentially.
Oh, sorry. As an aside, have you seen what happens if you detect thoughts on that character later on?
Yes.
Oh, it's so
You've got to be joking me. I am telling you my thoughts directly into your skull.
Again, not something I tried, but thank fuck for YouTube showing me all the stupid decisions I didn't make in my game, so I don't have to.
Yup. But yeah, you get the chance to do that with Vlaakith. No matter whether you do or don't, she turns the rest of the creche on you, so yeah, you're going to get your items for free from the merchant. Although the Blood of Lathander Temple is also a safe zone and therefore a fast travel point, so if you can't be arsed, you just go back into there and fast travel out of it.
I feel so fucking stupid, Rick, because I went in there and I used it to camp and take a long rest so I could go back and fight the one additional fight. But here's the dumb thing, Rick, is I knew about safe points being able to fast travel, so as soon as I'm out of the office, I would fast travel. I feel so dumb right now.
Yeah. I also didn't know that it was even a save point, so I was struggling through just on short rests, and that was tough.
No, I can imagine, man.
At one point, I even had to just pop an invisibility on one character, have them just zoom through, have them go to camp, and then just dismiss everyone else.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would work.
And then there's the other one of everyone else gets killed, one person just zooms ahead and escapes back to camp, gets withers to resurrect everyone, and then if you're ever in need of money, just pickpocket Withers, because everything that you ever paid to him is just in his pocket and he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, because Withers makes it painfully clear that he has to charge you, because he can't just do this for free, because then you would obviously abuse it. However, if you then find loopholes, he really doesn't give a shit. He's not paid enough to care.
Yeah.
If he's even being
literally
paid,
not paid enough to care.
I genuinely can't tell, because I haven't finished the game yet. I don't know if he just works for Jurgle or is Jurgle. It could be one, it could be both, it could be neither.
Yeah, it's like even
unclear
at the end of the game,
thus far.
It's not entirely clear. But I think that's kind of it's kind of intentional that it's not meant to be clear.
The reason why it wouldn't be surprising if he was Jurgle is because we already know he's a lazy fuck. Because one of the reasons why he gave up his position wasn't because he was scared of Murgle, Bane, and Baal. It was just like, I can't be fucking bothered. Do you want to do this shit? Go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, I'm not gonna lie, as a piece of lore, I kind of love.
Yeah, and it's made him more chill. Like he's no longer presiding over murder, death, and tyranny, and now just like presides over the ledger of the fugue plane, and that's all he does now, and that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, it's in character, definitely.
I just love it, man. It's great, and you get hints. Hints so early on as well that is just Jurgle and/or an avatar of Jurgle, but he never makes a big deal out of it, so you're never really fully sure.
Not only that, if you try to press him on it, he just goes no.
Like, are you gonna elaborate?
No.
He's a great little character. I also love when if you're not dating Karlach, and you're just like, I hope you find someone, and she goes, oh yeah, I think Withers has been giving me the eye.
Oh yeah, and at a certain point he takes an interest in your love life. He either goes, thou hast a bosom companion, or thou walkest alone.
Yeah.
And it stings really hard for the companion characters, especially if you just dumped one, because at one point, when Gale was bugged and he was horny with everyone, I had to dump him, and I went to get Gale a respec, and immediately after having been dumped by Tav, Gale goes to Withers, and Withers goes, thou walkest alone. What a sting in the heart.
Yeah. I still think Will's is the most heartbreaking, because I've never led Will on. I think he just does it if he's got high enough approval. But in Act 2, he'll want to dance with you, and you're like, Will, we're buddies. I don't really like you that way. But the only way to turn him down is one of the harshest ways possible.
Yeah, like the ways to turn him down is to either dance with him and turn him down, or to just refuse to dance.
But I was already with Karlach at that point, and I didn't want to dance and have that accidentally trigger some fucking argument between the two.
Yeah.
So
because even if you get with Will, you don't do anything. Like he's basically a chaste lover.
I have seen the dialogue of if you dump him, the first thing he says is, "This because I didn't sleep with you," and that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's even worse if you sleep with Mizora.
Well, yeah, but that's just bad anyway.
Yeah, it's a poor choice.
Like, Mizora is the fucking Morinth of this game, as far as I'm concerned. If you choose to sleep with her, you're a horrible person and an idiot.
Yeah. Like, I think even Karlach is actually kind of understanding about it, but still gets into your side about it. Right? But yeah. Let's talk about Will, actually, because when I was going into Act 2, going into the Mountain Pass for the first time, that's when I first got his transformation scene.
Oh, right, yeah, that's weirdly late.
Yeah, so normally you get it immediately after you don't kill Karlach, but apparently I just hadn't long rested on that game. So when I went there for the first time, A, Will got his transformation, and B, the Emerald Grove got locked out. So I had to reload after that. But because I thought the world state might progress referred specifically to Will, because, he's a companion and having him changed forever is kind of a big deal. Except turns out, no, it's not. That's just normal.
This is also word for word what you said in part 1.
Is it? Fair enough. Did I also say that there's a way to get the reward for killing Karlach and then go and recruit Karlach? Yeah.
They fixed that.
Have they? Okay. I've slept since then.
Sorry, no, they didn't fix that. They fixed the bug where if you do that, Karlach remains headless.
Oh, yeah, you can take her head and give it to the Paladins of Tyr, and then, she no longer remains headless throughout the entire game if you resurrect her afterwards.
At the same time, it's not worth doing that, because the reward you get is the sword, which is the reward you get for killing the Paladins anyway, because you loot it from him.
Yeah. And also, you get Karlach's first bit of catharsis, where she just murders every piece of furniture in sight. It's like 10 years of pent-up rage is her status effect.
Well, it's also the game showing you that her engine's unstable.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I gave her the Ye No-Go club for that, and I thought that was a bug with the club going mental, and that she was killing all my party members with it.
Okay.
Because, she still counts as in combat for that part, and not hitting a creature triggers that, so she went around bonking all of my characters.
Oh.
Yeah, that was fun.
But
I didn't do that next time.
But I think we should talk about the conversation with Voth, whatever the fuck his name is, and then move on to the Underdark. Because we've been talking for a fucking hour, Rick.
Yeah, we have. So Voss gives you more Orpheus lore.
Except he never uses the word Orpheus. You don't technically know that at this point.
Yeah, he basically says, I'm actually a freedom fighter. I'm trying to take Vlaakith down from within. If you read some of the pamphlets, it points towards Voss being a traitor.
Sure.
And he lays down his sword.
Sorry, before we get into that, can we talk about him being dressed like a ninja gimp?
Yes. So he's not even in his armor. He's dressed in his little rubber suit, and I still think it's one of the funniest scenes is just him gorming over you while you just wake up, because as far as you know, he's been there for an hour. And he gives you the task of coming to find him in Baldur's Gate at Sharess's Caress, is the long and the short of it.
Yeah, which they say is a pub, but in reality is a brothel.
Oh, it's everything. I think it's actually a bigger pub than the main pub in the city proper.
I think so. I think the problem with the city proper is there's 5 pubs.
Yeah, the one that I can think of, the Elf Song Tavern, I think is the biggest one, and that's the one where you can, do things.
Yeah. Let's not dwell on it. Let's not dwell on it. Come on.
So he tells you to go there, and that gives you another reason to get to Baldur's Gate. So Underdark.
Underdark is hands down still my favourite part of the game.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There are multiple ways down here. The one that I didn't discover, I knew that it was a thing, but I never found how to get to it, was the Zhentarim base. I didn't do this until the end of Act 2 on my most recent playthrough. Just clearing things out to make sure I've not missed anything. And you can just get to the Underdark from the Zhentarim base.
You can, but you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, because it puts you in the middle of the Underdark.
If you've played the game before, then yeah, absolutely go from here, because it's an easy way to get all that loot. Because if you go from any other entrance, if you fuck up and don't perceive those traps, there is no way to get to the Zhentarim bit, and there's a lot of goodies there. Yeah,
if you go any other route, it funnels you as well a lot better. Whereas if you go to the Zhentarim base, it kind of puts you in a corner, and it's oh shit, where do I go from here? And you can go everywhere, but if you go from the temple, I think that's essentially the default way. I think
it's the way Halcyon tells you to go, and they put a marker on your map for.
Yeah, and it starts in the building where Halcyon tells you to go from.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the default way. You get to see the Minotaur getting murked by the automatic traps, and maybe you should dash through that and not get murked yourself. The Falar Alluve is nearby.
I'm sorry, dash through that? Fuck that, just shoot the fucking orb.
I suppose you can, yeah.
Well, it turns it off.
You can dash through or you can shoot it. Sure. Yeah, the Falar Alluve is there. It's if you're an elf, I think you can pray to it, or you can just yank it out with strength, and it's a finesse longsword with a scream ability that does an extra d8 against things in an aura.
Okay, I don't think I ever found this.
Okay, it's basically the sword in the stone, and it's really good on a magic missile guy, because doing extra d8s on a d4 thing is a lot.
Oh, I did find this. It was just worthless to me. If you say it's a sword in the stone thing.
Yeah. For a lot of people, it's cool but useless because, like, by this point, you've maybe gone down the Crash route already, and you maybe have the Blood of Lathander, so somebody's got a +3, which is going to be better than a +2. Except maybe if you're like a rogue or whatever, because I think it's the only finesse longsword. So they needed. I think they did a bug where they didn't have an animation for it doing sneak attack, which is kind of like the reason that you put it on a rogue.
Okay.
But oh well. You get pursued through the Underdark by a boulette.
Sort of. You're supposed to, but sometimes the bullet's AI is fucking weird, and it just jumps out straight away.
Yeah.
And
the idea is you're meant to fight it like multiple times. You're meant to fight it multiple times, and then it just runs away, and then you finally have a final fight with it.
That's never happened to me. I've only ever killed it in the first fight.
Okay. I didn't do enough damage the first time I fought it, and it just ran away, and had to fight it again. It's one of the best things that you can do as a minion of Sovereign Glut, because he basically raises things as zombies as they were in life with 50% HP, and the boulette is basically the most powerful thing in the Underdark, except maybe the Eye Tyrant.
Yeah, but good luck getting Glut up there.
Yeah. Especially since Glut basically has two things he wants to do. He wants to kill Gek Cole and the rest of the Duergar, and then he wants to go back and be an ungrateful bastard and kill the rest of, kill Sovereign Spore.
I've never once sided with Glut in that fight because it seemed worthless, but I looked it up just to see what happens if you side with him instead of Spore, and guess what? It's fucking pointless.
Yeah, nothing happens.
No, worse than nothing, because if you have any quests active in that zone, they fucking end because you have to kill everyone there.
Yep. The Mushroom Village, I wasn't expecting Sovereign Spore to look so cool. Like, how cool does that Mushroom Man look?
I wasn't expecting any of the Myconids I wasn't expected to find Myconids, and then when we did, they all look awesome. The design team did really well with these.
Yeah. Some of them are, like, really well designed. Even the basic ones just look kind of cool. And then you've also got your two Society of Brilliance guys. You've got Blurg and Umelium.
So this is the first hint that you get that just because someone's in a monster race doesn't mean they're automatically evil.
Yeah, Blurg being a hobgoblin. I think it's actually the only hobgoblin you meet other than Draw Ragslin.
I believe so as well, because there's some other characters that look almost like Blurg, but they're quite clearly bugbears. Yeah,
it's basically the same thing. Like, they're the same thing but brown and hairier. So, like, a Wookiee version of hobgoblins. He's a pretty good merchant, and he can introduce you to Umelium, who is also a pretty good merchant, and he is a mind flayer. He's a rogue mind flayer who can help you make a potion that can expand your knowledge of being a TAD user.
Yeah, so I like this character being introduced so early on. It's still technically Act 1. We're calling it Act 1.5, but that's because we had to split up the podcast. I like this guy being added early on, especially now that I know about the Emperor. Mild spoiler for Act 3, because it gave early credit to him speaking the truth.
Yes, absolutely. The fact that they can be rogue illithids even when there is essentially an elder brain on the loose just means that, anybody can be outside of the influence.
Yeah.
But with Umelium, it's specifically because he was an arcane caster and they just shun them.
Yeah, it's very odd. Yeah, because in the tabletop, you can have the arcane caster version of Mind Flayers, and they basically keep to themselves, but if they're not careful, they have the need to almost mimic Elder Brains in that they try and form a Connolly on their own.
Yeah. And he even says he had an arrangement with a Lich. Like, he'd get the brain and the Lich gets the soul, until they had a falling out over ethics.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's escaped that, because Liches are normally really fucking strong. And
Yeah. I think minimum a Lich can be is around about 12 or something, which, is this game's max level. And I don't think Umelium is anywhere near that.
There's an event in Act 3 where you find out what level that dude is, so I won't spoil it.
Okay. Well, there's that, but also things get scaled. So, like, Gortash is a character. When you first meet him, he's level 9. When you fight him, he's not.
True.
So, things do change in level. Other things in the Underdark.
We're going to talk...
the Duergar in general are a pain in the arse.
Yeah, they're dickheads.
Yes. There's a couple of non-evil ones.
Yeah, like the guy who's fascinated by the weird architecture.
Oh, yeah. He's like, you go to the Grimforge, and this one guy, he likes architecture, he likes rocks. He's a surface dwarf who was born as a Duergar, more or less. And he's like, I don't care much for slaving and like the slaver's whip. I prefer the chisel, and yeah, you can just geek out with them over rocks and what you can divine from what's happened to the rocks nearby.
Yeah, he's not quite as wholesome as you're portraying, but yeah, he does care more about the architecture than tormenting gnomes.
And this used to be a zone that was a Sharan temple entrance, and yeah, True Soul Near is probably the reason why you can't get to the Sharan temple from here, because he's an idiot.
Well, yeah, someone was saying this the other day on Reddit, in that Halsin's memories of the path to the Shadowlands is from hundreds of years ago, or 800 years ago. It's at least triple digits. So the the location has changed a lot since then. But more importantly, they point out that the path he was talking about was probably through the area where Near fucking caved it in.
Yes, so for that, it probably would be shorter, but the way that you end up having to go, it's very much shorter to just go through the mountain pass.
Yep.
Despite Halsin telling you no, it's more dangerous, just go through the Underdark. And yeah, it is more dangerous if you fight the undead guys.
Can we sort of glossed over that fight. I got really fucking round up in that fight because the undead shepherds revived one person each, and I went, okay, I see the gimmick here. And then on their next turn, they did it again, and I was like, no, that's against the fucking rules.
Yeah, they seem to have infinite spell slots for that as well.
Oh.
But oh well.
Anyway,
yeah.
Back to the Underdark before we get mad.
Yeah. Well, Blood of the Thunder also helps a lot with that. You just beam down the lot, and then they're on the back foot. But yeah, back to the Underdark. The Blood of the Thunder also helps down here a little bit as well, because there are a few things with sunlight sensitivity. Drow in particular, like there's a couple of Drow that you fight. True Soul Near is one of them. There's a mad guy near the Maganin colony. That's another one.
Oh yeah, and the ones that the... Can we talk about the fucking jump scare I had when, no, this game isn't going to make me fight a beholder, surely?
I've still not fought it, actually. I've only seen videos of it.
Oh, it's right next to the saloon outpost.
Okay.
Yeah,
apparently I've just not explored up there.
Yeah, it's fucking... You go up there and you get a cutscene, and it's terrifying, because my exact words were, I shouted at the screen, why the fuck is there a beholder here? That's like level 15. And, oh, it's not, it's just a fucking eye tyrant, or whatever the fuck they call it, which is still...
Yeah, like a spectator or a gazer or whatever.
Spectator, there we go, that's what they call it. Which is still a fucking troublesome fight, but not nearly as bad as what a beholder would be.
Yep. Did you keep the Iron Flask, by the way?
The Iron Flask?
Yeah, so the Zentarim crate from early in Act 1.
Oh no, I always give it over.
Hyenas are. Okay, so I keep it and then save it for a fight that I don't like, because it's not allied to you. It will attack things that are near to it. I chucked it at Get Coal because I think that's the fight that I hate the most in Act 2. In Act 1. And in Act 2 plus, it kind of like loses a lot of its effectiveness because, things scale beyond it.
What is inside the Iron Flask? I know it's got a creature in it, but...
It's another spectator.
Oh, fuck that. Oh, that explains why... Okay. I've seen screenshots of there being one in the Shadowlands, and I was like, I've never seen that, because I was looking for a good screenshot for today, for the episode, and I was like, I never encountered that. Why? And chances are they probably just chucked that.
Yeah. I've also chucked it out at Moonrise for the assault on Moonrise, but
that's probably a bad idea with all the NPC allies you have.
Yeah, it attacks allies just as easily as it attacks enemies. But also enemies also attack it because it's not allied to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Get Coal I think is one of the best places to do it, because there are a lot of enemies that are just jobbers, and it just takes care of them.
Sure, I don't actually know the Duergar's names, so I don't know which one Get Coal is.
Get Coal is the Necromancer one that is just before you get on the sloop.
Oh, sure. I didn't have too much of a trouble with that fight, because two of them I pushed to their doom.
Okay, so the one before this is when you're still at the shore, rather than when you're on the two boats.
No, yeah, I know. On that fight, because of the way I approach the fight, I'm always on the top thing when the fight starts, and there's two that are really easy to just push off, and it takes off about 3/4 of their health.
Sure. And then when you're on the raft, you can just push the guy off that's there. If you do, you lose a merchant, because he's a merchant.
Yeah, but he's also a shit one, so it's not too big of a deal.
Yeah. Apparently the sword that he sells is actually really fun to use, because it's like got a like an earthquake beam.
Sure.
But you're probably using Blood of the Thunder at that point if you're melee. But yes, True Soul Near is a dickhead. He got himself caught in a cave-in and you have a couple of days to rescue him, otherwise he just suffocates.
But more importantly, you want to save the gnomes that are with him.
Yes. You can, there's a couple of them, like at least one of them that he just kills anyway as part of the cutscene, just to show how evil he is.
Yeah, it bothers me.
But you can persuade him that they're not worth killing, and then you can persuade the Dwergar that they're not worth keeping as slaves, and that frees them, including Barkus Root, because he got captured again. If you freed him from the windmill.
Yeah, if you it's weird because if you don't make the deal with the guy in the camp, you have to kill all the Dwergar anyway. But if you make the deal with him, then yeah, at the end he's like, these are still our slaves, and you have to tell him to fuck off.
Yep. Making the deal with him is probably the correct way to go, because you get allies for it instead of having to kill them all in one go.
Yeah.
But he also tasks you with getting rid of the scrying eye, which you have to lead the scrying eye to somewhere where you're not visible to be able to kill it without aggroing more Dwergar.
It's actually really easy to do though, because that scry eye follows you all the way into the path to Philomene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it follows you there. So it looked harder than it was to do. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Though the moment I found out that it just followed you, it was a lot easier. I thought it was just on patrol like the rest of them.
That to be fair, don't blame you.
Yeah, because the rest of them are just on patrol. The other thing that's down there is a Grimforge itself.
Before we get there, how much fun did you have with the spiders?
Oh boy.
I spoke to the spiders, and their cutscene is so funny.
Yeah, so they're like, oh yeah, we're all about Lolth, and
No.
Yeah.
One of them's about Lolth. The other ones are like, we should protect we should stay true to our friend. He feeds us, and blah 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 blah. And you can either say, yeah, stay with the Dwergar, or you can convince them to fuck off with Lolth. And if you do, they just scuttle away. It's so funny.
And there's also the cows, the deep Rothe.
Yeah.
One of them is like multiple hundreds of years old, which it makes it seem more barbaric that they're just treated as cows and eaten normally when they can just naturally live that long.
To be fair though, if you play as a druid and you can just talk to animals, it feels wrong to eat any animal.
Yeah. I suppose part of it is that the game is just like translating things into like a form of English that we can understand, and that these animals are not quite as eloquent as they are portrayed with speak to animals and all that. But
I think that
yeah.
I spilled my drink. I think it depends really, because I'm going to straight up say I completely disagree with you, because you speak to certain animals and they are quite clearly stupid.
Sure.
And you speak with other animals and they speak refined and rather eloquently. Like, I wasn't expecting the bear that was trying to talk to Volo to be so courteous.
Yeah, he's trying to treat Volo as like a British person treats foreigners.
Yeah.
I came from far away.
And Volo's just drawing little fucking doodles.
Yeah.
Oh, by the by, I found a rough draft of Volo's out in the wild in Act 1, which I'd never found before, of his guide to Baldur's Gate, and it's just it just says, it's a very badly drawn map, and then underneath it says, I recommend you getting someone else to illustrate the map, also this is terrible, and it's just signed by E, so it's quite clearly Elminster.
Yes. Apparently, the reason that Volo's lived so long is because Mystra thinks he's funny.
To be fair, I get it.
Yeah. So she's basically tasked Elminster with making sure he stays safe.
Wow.
And they're friends.
Friends in brackets.
Yeah. My dearest Elminster is one of the letters that Volo sends to Elminster. And Elminster, even in the Volo's Guide to Monsters that you can buy, a lot of it is just edited by Elminster.
Yeah, because Volo is quite clearly just like a stream of verbal diarrhea.
Oh, yes. Like the mental stream of consciousness on paper.
Speaking of bards, though, playing as I've only done this for a little bit. I don't know how far I'm going to go. I start a lot of characters and then just stop. But I played a bard very briefly, and some of the bard dialogue options are fun, especially when you meet Volo, because you can just show him up and show how shit he is as a bard.
Yeah, because he ain't one. He just dresses like one.
Yeah, he's a wizard, but he's never going to admit it.
Yeah.
The other one, though, is when you meet Elminster, you can just throw some flowery stuff at him as to how legendary he is, and he just goes, "Oh, so which tale do you most like about me?" And there's just a list of 4 D&D game modules. So, which one do you want to pick? Frost Maiden? And he just and he just scoffs and goes, "Oh, that's one of Volo's. It was complete bollocks." But yeah, as I don't know if this is a regular dialogue option or specifically as a bard, but when you encounter Nier and you decide to fight him, you've got one of the dialogue options is just, in your eulogy, I'm going to refer to you as a twat soul.
Yes, twat soul Nier. Well, because the Dwergar also call you a twat soul as well.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, your character heard that term for the first time and just went, that's fucking fantastic, I'm using that.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, Swordsbard is so fun. I'd definitely continue if you have the time and inclination. But yeah, the Grimforge itself is kind of an optional zone in the Grimforge, and once you've got the thing that you want to make, you need a bit of ore, and then you put everything in, and it takes you down to the bottom level and tells you, oh yeah, you need lava. What comes out when you have lava? Oh, the reason it's called Grimforge, because Grim is there.
Yeah, I got an achievement for this fight, which I didn't even know was an achievement, because I didn't... Okay, apparently it was bugged, but when I fought this fight, the bug was that I believe they put the notes as Grim from the Grimforge was alarmingly smart, in that he never went near the centre of the map, because he knew the hammer was there.
Yep. It was worse because they turned up his AI, and he would refuse to go into the lava and therefore make himself invincible. So you basically had to push him into the lava somehow, like through Eldritch Blast or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a difficult fucking task, because there's, apart from a push check, which is very difficult against him.
Yes.
There's not that many ways to manipulate enemy characters.
Yeah, you've got like Thunder Wave and Eldritch Blast are the only ones that really work for that guy.
And Eldritch Blast is infinite, but Thunder Wave sure as fuck ain't.
Nope. And even then, it puts him into the lava for one bit, and you're probably going to need at least 2 cycles of lava to take him down, because it just reduces his defenses from infinite to some.
Yeah, he's immune to a lot of damage, and then once he's been in fire, he's only half resistant to damage, except for Blunt, which he takes 2 times of.
Yeah. Which, again, is another point in favour of the Blood of the Thunder. So he is generally one of the toughest enemies in Act 1, and you get 2 benefits out of him. Number 1, you get his helmet, which gives you, I believe it's immune to crits and just some other good stuff, so any mage who can use heavy armour is, like, perfect for it. And the other one is you get access to the forge and get to make the thing, which is probably, you're going to make the splint mail, which is, again, heavy armour that's immune to crits, and you can spread them out between 2 characters.
Yeah, you get enough ore to make 2 items.
Yeah. I think there's a breastplate that you can make as well, so you can do the same thing but for medium armor, or you can make some weapons, and I've never made any other weapons.
Yeah, the weapons are trash, to be honest, because it's an adamantine weapon is nowhere near as good as adamantine armor. That being said, I do think you got the breastplate and the splint mail the wrong way around. I think breastplate's heavy and splint mail's medium.
I think the splint mail is the heavy one, but it's got it's like a +1 splint, so it gives you like 18 AC, the same as plate would, but then it gives you -2 damage on pretty much everything.
It's pedantic, so it doesn't really matter which way round it is. I'm just saying I think you got it the wrong way round.
Yeah, no worries.
Either you got it the wrong way round, or the second thing isn't called breastplate, it's called something else. That's what's happening here.
Or half plate or whatever, yeah. It gives you -2 damage on everything that's incoming, which makes the psionic overload like pretty much drawback free. That's the one where, like, once per short rest you can take 1d4 damage per round, but you do an extra 1d4 on all of your hits.
Sure.
But again, it's a tad power, so I don't blame you for not taking it. That's one of the just generally better armors to use for the rest of Act 1, for what's left of it, and pretty much all of Act 2, because I think the only one that's better than it in Act 2 is the one right at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, that dude's armor is pretty sick, but I usually split those 2 items amongst 2 characters.
Yeah, totally. I normally give the helmet to a mage and armor to my main character.
Yeah, fair enough. I've never had a mage, just an outright mage that has proficiency in heavy armor, because I find it's not usually worth it.
Well, I mean, if you have Shadowheart as a war, life...
Okay, I don't count her as a mage.
Sure.
I know clerics are full casters, so they are technically mages, but not when I fucking build them, they aren't.
They're just melee people with...
extra steps.
Spirit Guardian. Yeah, Spirit Guardian lawnmower.
I gave Shadowheart a greatsword once. That was a fun fucking time.
Yeah. Man, I should try the Ranger with War. Like that's something that's oddly fun, and I've never tried it in Baldur's Gate, so I might try that at some point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where you know how the Great Weapon Master is, if you crit or kill, you can get a bonus attack. Well, War Cleric also lets you do the bonus attack, but like limited.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just force 3 attacks quite often.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yes, I think we're coming to the end of the road to Act 2. What haven't we mentioned?
We haven't mentioned Boal.
Oh yes, I've never actually talked to Boal. So this is a redcap who is insane and has cultivated a cult of Kuo-toa.
Oh, he's not insane. He perfectly knows what he's doing.
Oh yes. And he's covered in blood and he takes sacrifices, and he has been given power by the amount of worship that the Kuo-toa have given him. And the ways to finish this are you can just kill him, you can get the Kuo-toa to worship you instead, or you can sacrifice one of your party members permanently to Boal, and a hireling doesn't count.
Why the fuck would you take that option?
Yeah, because like it's not even a good benefit, and it goes away if you die.
I mean, I didn't even know that was an option, but I don't know there's no pluses there. There's no way whatever he gives you can be worth an entire companion. Can you res them?
Nope. No, apparently not.
Not even
this is
with
an
withers?
actual like full-on super death. Not even with withers.
Why would
I think it's the same for if you kill someone with Dark Urge. Like if you kill an ally with Dark Urge, like they just die.
It's just Dark Urge. At least you're doing like roleplay stuff, so it makes sense.
Yeah, like full-on ritual sacrifice.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't agree with it. I mean, don't agree with it. I wouldn't do it, but it's not my game, so I don't give a fuck. I like making the fishmen worship you, especially if you have Karlach in the party.
Yeah,
The fish go, we shall call you, I can't remember the exact name, I think it's Krakoa, and it cuts to Karlach just going, Krakoa! She gets super into it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it for this episode.
1 second, dwarfs.
So, the
mushroom.
The Dwergar.
No, the mushroom guys.
The mushroom guys. Okay.
The woman who sends her husband out to pick mushrooms.
Oh, yeah, Beba Bang, yeah. Yeah, so if you pick the noble stalk, you can eat it, or you can give it to Shadowheart.
You can eat it.
Or you can give it to the lady.
But you should only eat it yourself if you're a Dark Urge, because it unlocks a memory, apparently. Don't know what it is. I haven't looked into it, because I don't care. You should absolutely be friendly with Shadowheart and give it to her.
Yeah, the only reason not to give it to Shadowheart is if you are a
asshole,
Dark Urge, or want to put her on the dark path. If you want to make a good guy Shadowheart, then you give her the mushroom.
Of course, you can still make her a good guy without giving her the mushroom.
Oh, totally, because like it's entirely possible to miss the fact that there is a noble stalk there. Because if the Bibabang all explodes, then it just burns to flames.
Yeah, I found this out because I was like, I searched that area because after the dwarf fucked off. Oh fuck! I got to tell you the story, Rick. The first time I did this, there was still the bug in the game where if you had an animal companion with you, all the NPCs around you would freak out. I was a ranger and had my wolf out, so the guy teleported with his fucking misty step, and he had the cutscene with "thank you," blah blah, and then immediately ran backwards into the Bibberbangs because he saw my wolf, and I was like, "Oh fuck! I've got to reload my save because that's bollocks."
Yep. The first time I did it, I did it the stupid way. I shot the torch with Ray of Frost to put the torch out, so when it started farting spores, it didn't explode. So
what? That's not how that works.
A couple of times, yeah, it is. So when the spores are still poisonous, but if there's nothing to light them on fire, then they just don't explode. It's just poison.
They've only ever exploded around me.
Yeah, so get rid of fire.
But what have I got that's well, I guess Karlach, I suppose, is always fire.
Yeah, but there's a torch in the area that's just on the floor.
I'm not. I'm not even talking about that area. I'm just talking about other areas where the green shit is.
Yeah, because when you do it in Anti-Ethels, there's other mushrooms that are also fire, or traps that are fire, and basically a way to ignite them.
Again, not talking about... It doesn't matter, Rick. We're dwelling on the wrong thing. I've only ever seen those things explode, is the point.
Sure. But yeah, like there was an RNG of you could get him to the end without him dying if the poison rolled low on him.
Yeah, because he's already at half health.
And that's how I got him out. Yeah, because I managed to get him out that way. And I think I had to heal him a couple of times on the way through because I couldn't get to the thing without triggering the spores. Mm-hmm. So I just did it that way. And if you do it that way and it doesn't explode, you can just go and pick up the noble stalk afterwards.
I always use Mage Hand.
Yeah, it's probably a much better idea, let's be honest.
It's the only fucking thing I've been able to find a use for Mage Hand, is to pick up that fucking mushroom.
Yeah, I used Mage Hand in the Grimforge to use the levers, and then I found out that you could just shoot them with a bow.
Oh, yeah, that would be clever.
Yeah, so I use Mage Hand for that.
I always sent a party member over on his own to fucking do it for me.
Yep. I mean, that's probably the simpler way, and knowing that there is a teleport point afterwards, it's probably the correct way. But yeah, you can either Mage Hand it or shoot with a bow.
Sure. Well, now I know. I'll probably forget by the next time I'm in that area.
Or not have Mage Hand.
Oh, you've always got Mage Hand, because I'm always going to pick up Gale.
Ah, sure. But only if you bring him with you. Like, if you don't bring him with you, then you don't have him.
Unless I am a spellcaster, Gale is pretty much permanently in my party.
Sure.
I like Gale.
I don't think I've actually got any permanent party members.
Oh,
it was going to be Lae'zel, but like she's not always the best to have.
I say permanently. It's just he's usually the best. Like when I first played the game, he was the best all-round spellcaster that he could do something in combat no matter what I was fighting. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, you can build a wizard to do like 99 things.
But now that I've played most of the game once, I'm still like I haven't fought any of the final bosses in Act 3. But I've played Act 1 and 2 enough that I know what encounters are coming up, so I can go, cool, I'm going to switch in Will now because I know his Hellish Rebuke is going to do this fight for me.
Yeah. I made Will into a Sorlock. So, just Lightning Bolt, quick and Lightning Bolt, go.
To be fair, I still need to actually respec Will in my Act 3 playthrough because he's still just a level 12 Warlock, which is a bit shit.
It's alright, but yeah, it's not the best.
The fact you have 2 spell slots per encounter is really limiting.
Yeah, he's probably better as like a Padlock or a Ranger Lock even.
Maybe, I'll fuck around. I do think we have actually spoken about most of... Oh no, we've missed one really obvious thing, Rick, the Wizard's Tower.
Oh yeah, shit, yeah. So, the Wizard's Tower, it requires Suso Bloom to be able to access the top of it, which also you can use that for a little bit of earlier in Act 1. There's a forge where you can make a Susa weapon, which is just an anti-mage weapon.
But bear in mind, with the weapon, you need a piece of bark, you don't need the bloom.
Yeah, but it's from the same tree.
Sort of. Yeah, you're right, but the Susa bloom that you use for the Mage Tower, you pick up at the bottom of the Mage Tower. You're not picking it up from the actual tree.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, you feed some Susa bloom into the furnace, and it just powers up the rest of the tower. You can get to the top. You can talk to the golem or the construct, sorry. And depending on how many books you've read, you can just tell it different things, and it gives you different options. One of which is obviously not from the book that he is meant to be quoting, and that is, okay, let's have a fight.
Yeah,
and
I didn't pick up any of the books on my first playthrough because I didn't know that was a thing. And it turns out, oh no, because if you do the book thing, you get a ring off of him, which lets you actually get loads of goodies from that tower, making it more worth it than just one stupid quest.
Yep. And have you ever found the Club of Giant Strength?
I found the Stool of Giant Strength.
Yeah, if you break it, you get a club.
Oh, I didn't know that! That makes so much sense!
Yeah, one of the chair legs becomes a Club of Giant Strength, which sets your strength to 19.
I thought it was just a funny little joke. I didn't even think of smashing it.
And you feel strong, yeah. There's another one later in the game that's a fake as well.
But yeah, the tower's fun. It's got some unique puzzles on the first floor, which involve going into turn-based mode. I mean, I say puzzles, it's just fucking run between rocks.
Turrets.
If you don't do this in turn-based mode, you will get fucked, because turn-based modes let you actually do bullshit amount of things in 6 seconds.
Yeah. The turrets are rather deadly, and you basically need to deactivate them or destroy them, and it's normally easier to destroy them than to deactivate them any other way.
I was going to say, how the fuck do you deactivate them? Because I've always just given Garlic Ganfunner. I've always given Karlach a big fuck-off hammer, and that's how I've dealt with it.
I think you can thievery them, but yeah, I've only ever like thrown Karlach at them and or something similar.
What did you say the other solution was? Discord didn't help you.
Apparently it was, you might be able to thievery them, but even then, Astarion would be my thief, and he had hand crossbows, and I'd probably just shoot them with hand crossbows.
You won't do damage with hand crossbows, they're sturdy.
You will with sharpshooter.
Okay. I thought they were the version of sturdy that was immune to non-blunt damage. That's why I gave Karlach a hammer.
I might be misremembering things, but yeah, I think it might be damage threshold where it's like anything below 10 just fails.
Okay, but I also think they're immune to non-blunt damage.
Okay.
But we can talk about this all day. We're not going to know until we boot up the game.
Yeah. And for me, get back to that bit again, because all my characters are in Act 3 right now. But yeah, I think that's about it for today. So,
if we've missed
a favourite moment?
Before we get into final moment, favourite moment and stuff, guys, please do point out if we missed really obvious fucking shit in the Underdark.
Yeah. Like, I missed the gazer, and I missed the Kuotoa, and like my first playthrough, I even missed the whole fucking crash.
Dude, I got Lae'zel. Lae'zel got killed when I was trying to find the Kuotoa because she jumped over to that thing, and because of the angle of the camera, I didn't know there was a red mushroom there. She jumped over, and it immediately blew up and threw her down the hole, and she was dead. And I was like,
Quick trip to Withers.
I just fucking quick loaded, but heyo.
So yeah. Do you have a favourite moment?
I think because it was just so stupid, and you have to go so out of your way just to encounter them, I'm going to have to give it to the Kuotoa.
Okay.
Like, you really...
I can't really...
There's no real reason to go there, and you don't really get anything from it. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's one of these weird ones where I can't really sympathise with it because I've not actually been to see them. Like, all I've seen is like YouTube things of people sacrificing their party members, which, again, why would you?
For the YouTube views, because you clicked on it, motherfucker.
Well, yes.
But what about you? Do you have a favourite moment?
I would say finding the creche. Just doing the creche. I think the creche was just like a cool part. It gave you a decent bit of insight into Githyanki culture, and just having Lae'zel talk smack about them, because the way that they are doing things well is bad for you, and the way that they are doing things badly is just... Lae'zel just looks down her tiny little nose at them, and it's cool to see that there's differences within the same culture even when they're pointed at the same goal.
Like, I distinctly remember really enjoying the moment where that one gift tries to stop you from entering the creche, and Lae'zel is just immediately like, do you want to throw hands? Because I'll fucking throw hands.
Yeah. But we can't always talk about the best stuff. We sometimes have to talk about the not so best. Do you have a weakest link in Act 2?
Yeah, my weakest...
Sorry, Act 1.5.
My weakest link is going to be a bit of a weird one in that the Underdark absolutely spoilt me for enemy variety.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like, even in Act 3... Oh, Act 3's the worst, because you probably know by now, there is one enemy you fight constantly, and therefore it makes me long for going back to the Underdark, where, okay, the encounters are a lot smaller, but... and this is pre-Dwergar. Obviously, the Dwergar's a bit shit, because you're fighting loads of Dwergar and fuck all else. But in the Underdark itself proper, you're fighting a bunch of different things. Every encounter involves a different creature, more or less.
Yeah, like Bullet, Minotaurs. If you fight them, then the Myconids, the Drow guy.
The Hook.
Yeah, there's just stuff.
Hooked horrors.
Yeah. Yeah, hook horrors. Yeah, the Drow guy's got hook horrors, hasn't he, as well? Yeah.
Yeah,
just stuff.
The fucking mini beholder.
The Dwergar with the zombies. Yeah, just stuff, like, all over the place. All different mechanics.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah, I totally feel you.
Even at the top of the Wizard Tower, what do you fight? Constructs that, as far as I'm aware, you don't fight anything like that in the game again.
Yeah. People using the Artificer mod just makes that model into the Steel Defender.
Makes sense.
Which, it makes sense. There's something like that in the game. Why not?
Yeah. But what about you, Rick? What is your weakest link for Act 1.5?
To be honest, probably the same. Like, the fact that, but similar but different. Like, Act 1 in general spoilt me for the expectations. The other acts are good. Act 1 is stellar. Just the number of things that you can do in Act 1 where the developers thought about something that might be a weird workaround. They don't tell you that certain things are the way that they are intended to do. Like, okay, jumping to the bottom of the tower. You can either do that naturally and take damage, or you can use Featherfall. You can get into the Underdark with Featherfall if you go through the wrong direction.
Alternatively, if you don't use Featherfall, you can die by jumping down that pit.
You can. Someone found out that the maximum damage you can take from falling is actually less than the maximum health you can have.
At that point in the game, or just at 12?
At level 12.
Okay.
But you still just automatically die even if you have that health.
To be fair, as a DM, if I was like doing something, it's like, I'm going to fall from 900 feet, but that will only do this amount of damage, I'd be like, I don't care, you're dying.
Yep. I'm going to rage just before I hit the ground so the bludgeoning damage is halved. No.
Oh, you can always also point to the age-old classic of, I'm a werewolf, which means I'm immune to every damage that's not magical, and falling damage isn't technically magical. Fuck off.
Yeah. Or you could even do a stupid thing of, I fall and I just let go of a phoenix down, and when I hit the ground, the phoenix down hits me on the head.
Motherfucker, just use Featherfall and end this stupid bollocks.
Yeah, there's even potions of Featherfall, or at least scrolls. But yeah. So yeah, I'd say that Act 1 really spoilt me for just in general for the rest of the game. And it set expectations unreasonably high for not only the rest of this game, but for generally pretty much every other game. I think this is something that we've touched on in the past. The outcry of other developers who are going, oh no, this game is an outlier. This is the game that you shouldn't look to for expecting quality. And even within the same game, it holds true. Like, don't expect this quality anywhere else.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one. As good as Baldur's Gate 3 is, I kind of agree from the perspective that not every game should be Baldur's Gate 3. But
yeah, totally.
I also understand that the spirit of the statement of, oh, don't look to this game for what games could be, was quite clearly a malicious attempt to be like, we're not spending that much care and polish on our games. That's clearly what they meant. And so they can fuck off for that.
Totally.
But, there's other games that have come out since Baldur's Gate 3. I think Baldur's Gate 3 would if it doesn't get Game of the Year, it's definitely my Game of the Year thus far. I can't see anything topping it. But, other games that come out this year that are just great, and they're no fucking Baldur's Gate 3, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, like you've recently played Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the one I've been thinking of this entire conversation.
Yeah. Good game. Doesn't need to spend more than 24 hours.
No, God, no. But yeah.
So, who would you say out of Act 1.5 is your MVP?
I mean, it's got to be Lae'zel.
Yeah, totally. This is the time where she gets the majority of her character development before, the reveal towards the end of Act 2.
Yeah.
In fact, it's literally the end of Act 2 because after that, you get the achievement.
Oh, right, yeah, sure. But yeah, I prefer the Underdark half of the roots. Don't get me wrong, but there's no real character that stands out because of it. So yeah, it's got to be Lae'zel. Yeah. The Kresh is interesting not because of the gift, but because you got Lae'zel with you. And
yes,
I can't imagine it's anywhere near as rewarding an encounter if you decide to live Lae'zel in camp. Which, why the fuck would you?
Yeah, it feels like if you don't have Lae'zel with you at that point, why are you even going there? Yeah, okay, the reason is you want to get those gloves, but why would they even let you in at all?
It's one of those. I'll give Baldur's Gate 3 credit in that you can do anything with any party members. You don't need to take Will to a place that clearly deals with a real problem. However, the experience is enhanced if you bring that character. But Lae'zel's one just makes no goddamn sense, and if you don't bring Shadowheart to the Shah place, you're fucked.
Yeah. I think she just leaves the party if you refuse to take her.
She doesn't just leave the party, she leaves the party in the most dramatic way possible, by dying.
Yes. But yeah, I think that's about it, because my MVP's the same. Yeah, my MVP is also Lae'zel. And yeah, for exactly the same reasons that, yeah, she pretty much makes what I've already said is my favourite moment of the entire Act 1.5. So, if you liked the video, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube. And if you're listening via one of the many audio platforms instead, you can instead send us an email, which will go to
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, that is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
And as always, if you made it this far, you are indeed our favourite people. And it's going to be a goodbye from me.
Bye, guys. See you next week.